This is the first of two videos about common problems with diesel, Land Rover, Range Rover and Jaguar cars and what you can do about it if your vehicle is suffering from one or more of these problems. We're first going to look at the exhaust and emissions system and how it works. We're then going to look at what happens if the exhaust and emissions system does not work as it was intended to work. Then we're going to look at some of the more serious and significant side effects of a exhaust and emissions system that doesn't work properly. And then finally, we're going to look at what you can do about it if your vehicle is suffering from one or more of the problems mentioned in this video. The exhaust and emissions system consists of a number of parts, but in this video, we're just going to focus on three, and they are the exhaust gas recirculation valve, or EGR, the diesel particulate filter, or DPF, and the DEF module, or adblue system. And the way it works is this, is the exhaust gases produced by the engine are recycled, and they do that through the exhaust gas recirculation valve, the EGR, which drives the gases into the turbocharger, and the turbocharger pushes them back into the engine for reuse. The resultant exhaust gases then make their way along the exhaust pipe, and the first stop is the DPF, which filters out the soot particulates in the exhaust gases before they make their way to the next stage, which is the adblue system, which eliminates the nitrous oxide gases before the exhaust gases enter the atmosphere. The system itself is self-cleaning, and how it operates is this, is the DPF temperature raises to about 600 degrees, and that burns off the soot in the filter and cleans it. There are two problems with the way that the DPF and emissions system works, and it's particularly pertinent for the Land Rover and Jaguar and Range Rover vehicles that have the 2-litre Ingenium diesel engine, but it will occur potentially in other engines, namely the 3-litre diesel. And the problem is this. The diesel particulate filter, the regeneration of the diesel particulate filter, takes around 30 minutes to complete. And in circumstances where you're using the vehicle for short stop-start journeys and around town, that regeneration process is not allowed to complete. So as a result, there's a residual of soot left in the DPF after each regeneration process. And after a period of time, that residual clogs up the DPF and it causes the vehicle to go into restricted performance mode or limp mode. And that will then require you to have the DPF cleaned or in some circumstances replaced, which would be expensive, around £2,500. The other aspect is that in order to reach the temperature, 600 degrees, the vehicle injects additional fuel into the combustion chamber. Now, not all of that fuel gets used, and the excess fuel migrates into the sump and dilutes the engine oil. And diluted engine oil will cause an early service warning and mean you will have to take your vehicle to a garage to have that oil changed, again increasing your whole life costs and servicing and maintenance costs for that vehicle. However, the problem does not end there, because diluted oil and oil that becomes contaminated with soot significantly reduces the lubrication ability of that oil. So it will have potentially a damaging effect on those engine components that require proper lubrication. And in particular, we find that engines that have low lubrication ability in the engine oil and contaminated oil, they suffer from big end bearing wear and failure, and that can often present itself with a knocking noise at the bottom of the engine. Those big end bearings can fail, and when they do fail, we often find that they weld themselves to the crankshaft and you'll have a seized engine. There are circumstances where that will result in the crankshaft itself failing. You could have a situation where the connecting rod, the con rod, finds its way and punctures through the side of the engine. We could also have a situation where there's low compression in the engine. Ultimately, all of those issues will result in the engine requiring replacement. That's the end of the first video. The next video will tell us what to do next and what your rights are. If you have any further questions, you can contact Stormcatcher Law on 0333 700 7676 or visit our website at stormcatcher.co.uk.